Hey, everybody.
Welcome to Trust Relations, the podcast.
I'm here with April, the founder of Trust Relations and the doyen of all things public relations.
And of course, we're joined by the wonderful Hamish, our marketing lead and expert in the space, who I like to call my marketing other half.
We're tackling some of the biggest topics in news and integrated marketing and learning from the mistakes that make headlines or sink brands.
So join us as we have a chat about what works, what doesn't, and what we have to say about all of it. Hamish.
Good afternoon.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
Excellent. What's been keeping you entertained this week?
What's not been keeping me entertained this week?
There's a lot going on.
There's a lot. I don't know where to start or stop with that one. I graduate from my storytelling class on Friday.
Oh, brilliant.
So I am...
That's gone quickly.
I know, it was so fast.
How long has it been?
I think it's 6 weeks, but I feel like that just started.
Yes, once upon a time.
So I'm already like, I want another storytelling class. So I've been doing that. I've also been doing a branding class, which is crazy that I'm doing 2 classes at once. So it's a pretty big juggling act. Yeah.
It's a lot of juggling. But they do say if you want to get something done, give it to a busy person.
I mean, I do find that for myself. I don't know if you do for you too, but the busier I am, the more I get done.
And you're more efficient too, aren't you?
Yeah, because I'm like, okay, I'm driving from the store and I'm driving home and I have 30 minutes. I have to work on my storytelling thing. Go. And then I hit record on my phone and I work on my story and then I listen back. So I'm like using drive time to do stuff that needs to get done. And then,
What is it? There's an acronym for that. NET. No extra time. So it doesn't take time because you're using dead time for productive purpose.
I always do
NET.
that. Yeah. I can't tell you that. And for some reason, when I get trapped in a place where I can't do multiple things is when I'm the most productive. So when I fly, almost every single time I've flown, I've written a song. Almost every time.
Oh, wow.
Because I'm sitting there and all I have is a phone.
No, when I fly, all I do is watch movies that I've not seen that I've always wanted to. I am not productive on a plane at all. So kudos to you.
I do some of that too, but I definitely because there's that moment where you can't do anything except, you're waiting for the cruising altitude, right? And I just go bananas. So that's usually when I end up writing songs. Because it's a good 30 minutes that you have to sit there before you have the internet.
Yeah.
So you can't play games on your phone. You can't, watch anything. You can't make phone calls.
So what do you do?
Can't email.
Pen and paper, old school?
No, I do it on my notes app. I have all of these old
So you
songs.
are still using your cell on the plane, but you're just not having internet access.
Yeah, you don't have to have internet access to use the notes app.
Of course.
Yeah. So what are the movies that you want to watch on your next adventure?
Are there any movies out at the moment that I necessarily want to see? I don't think that there's a long list at the moment. I'm looking forward to that new, and I'm going to say it's Brad Pitt movie, but it's only because I can remember he's in it. And it's now really going to bug me that I can't think of what it's called. So you're going to have to bear with me.
I'm just going to watch you Google. That's what's going to happen. I'm going to stare at you while you Google.
And he's going to be in... So I'm looking forward to seeing Brad Pitt in Bullet Train.
I don't know what that is.
No, it's a movie about 5 assassins which board a bullet train in Japan, all on an individual mission, and they find their paths cross. But it looks like...
Cool. This sounds great.
It's got a little bit of that quirky humor that I found was in Deadpool. Don't know if you saw Deadpool.
I did. I don't think I liked it, which is strange. It feels like I would. Maybe it just caught me at the wrong time.
No, I loved it because it was that irreverent and self-deprecating humor, and I think that this has this in there as well. I mean, I've only seen 2 minutes and 36 seconds of the
trailer.
The trailer, yeah. So I can't tell you if it's going to be really good, but it
I love
looks
the preciseness.
Good. Well, I'm just looking at it on screen now. So,
It's like, wow, the memory he's got.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, all right. Okay. It's something to look forward to, isn't it?
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. This is your show producer, Veronica, dialing in with today's communications buzzwords. April's word today is compendious. And for Hamish, the word is slapdash. Happy listening.
What's up? How's the weather today?
Weather here is much better. We got some blue skies I can see. We had a lot of wild wind yesterday that backed up on all of the 2 weeks worth of horrendous flash flooding and torrential storm and rain. I'm looking forward to hopefully being able to do more and get out. Something about being able to walk around and be in the air rather than exercising, going to the gym or whatever.
Yeah, it's not the same.
No, it's not. It's much better for the headspace.
I agree. Yeah, I miss hiking. It's been a little bit too cold to go hiking, but
Meanwhile, we're over here and we complain when it's
60.
10 degrees Celsius in the middle of the day, which is, I don't even know what it's probably low mid 40s for you or something like that.
For where you're living, that's cold.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
your body gets used to
it
it.
does
Like
get colder at night. I mean, it gets really, not
cold.
No, it rarely gets to anywhere near freezing in Sydney at night. So, I mean, it has occasionally.
Right, but then you get that super, super hot summer. So it's like that's the trade-off. I remember when I lived on the Gold Coast and my body actually adjusted to that extreme heat. And then when I got back to Iowa, I was freezing and it was summertime. But I had just gotten used to it being like 9800, whatever, like totally fine. But then when it was 70, I was shivering, like teeth chattering and everything.
Wow.
Yeah.
Your body had really acclimatized.
Really acclimatized. Is that your word of the day?
No, it's not. You're out. Yes. Shall we recap word of the day? I believe that I am winning with 3 points to 1. I think that would be about right.
Hamish,
5-2.
5. I think you should get penalized for mumbling your word of the day.
Yeah.
I don't think that counts.
Oh, come on. I never take a slapdash approach to this stuff. Please, come on.
I listened back to our first episode. I still did not hear you say the word of the day.
Oh, really?
No, you just kind of.
Oh, come on, as if. I'm sure it was very legible. Skookum. Come on. It was in there.
I don't think it was. All right, what should we kick off things with today, Hamish?
Okay, you know what? Okay. Seems we're unable to make a decision about what we should kick off with today. Why don't we start with, aptly, a conundrum and talk through a conundrum?
Ooh, okay.
See what I did there?
Yeah, you mixed it up. You took our conundrum, you turned it into a strategy.
And then we're strategizing.
You tipped the pink elephant on its side.
Yes. Look at this. This is going to take the world by storm.
Okay,
yes.
let's do it. All right. So our marketing conundrum of the day that we are discussing is what to do when a client is having trouble letting go of the reins of their old messaging and the way that they're currently portraying the company when everyone else, or we know it's wait, what?
Fire them. No, I'm joking.
I was like, what's about to happen? This dramatic pause, these hands over the microphone. So what do you do, Hamish, when a client thinks that they already are talking about themselves in a compelling way, but we can figure out through analysis or research that it's not actually as compelling to the target audience as it could be?
I think this is a really good question, actually, because this conundrum basically arises in one of two scenarios that I see. One where you are onboarding a new client, or two where you are going through a review process with an existing client and you're looking at what is and isn't working. And with the whole thing of, okay, this client's come to us, let's say it's a new client, and they're saying, okay, well, we need to achieve this because at the moment our results are lackluster, or we've got to be telling people something new. And they come with a perception of what they need to be talking about and what they need to be telling people. It's the whole can't see the forest for the trees dilemma. They're so entrenched in what they want to take forward and the belief of their product. And sometimes, unless it's a larger company where they have multiple streams and multiple people talking, you find that companies with smaller marketing departments just, as I said, get lost in the trees because they know what they want to say and they've got this overriding need to go out and say it, and don't stop to think, well, what do people want to hear, or what do we need to be telling people? And I think when you ask some simple questions, you get a very quick sense of how invested they are in this messaging, how much they push back. And sometimes it's just the language that they use. Well, we need to be saying this because this feature, or well, yeah, people need to know about this because of this. And when you stop and you say, well, what do people want to know about? Sometimes it rocks them back a little bit, I find. And I think that's where you can start to turn what is a passive problem, where people are wanting to say something, into an opportunity, and you can reverse the trap, I guess, and start saying, okay, well, this is what you're wanting to say, but let's stop and let's use this tool, which we use internally, obviously, our brand identity and strategy tool, to say, okay, well, who are you as a brand? What are you trying to go out there and say to people? Why are you trying to say that to people? And what does it mean to them? And then let's throw that on its head and look at, well, what do people know? What do people not know? Because, what people don't know is what you probably want them to know in many opportunities. And if you think of it as a Venn diagram, what they don't know and what you need them to know, if there's an overlap, that's where your opportunity is. And sometimes when you do these exercises with clients, I think you find that some of what they think they need to say becomes your proof points, and the things that reveal themselves in this exercise become the things that actually points of difference that actually have resonance with the market, and that's where you start to get some traction. So I think personally, after that long-winded soapbox moment,
well done.
is that
thank you. Applause. We're going
thank you.
to pause for a quick applause. Okay.
I think that the catch is that clients are sometimes too invested, and it's nothing more than just being caught up in the moment, and it's just a matter of stepping them back.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting because it dovetails really nicely into why we've started at Trust Relations to introduce a brand identity and perception analysis that will, at the very outset of a campaign, ensure that how a client wants to be perceived matches their actions, to see if there's cohesion between the story doing and the storytelling, right? So we need to figure out, okay, are they doing what they say they are? And if not, what can we suggest that they do to adjust and, rectify that? And if they are, doing something they're not saying they're doing, to your point, this is where we need to pull out, okay, these are the things people don't know about you. Nobody knows you're doing these amazing things behind the scenes that are, CSR related or whatever it is. And so that's a moment where you can help them pull out those stories and start to tell them. So I think it's really important for brands today to have that cohesion between what they're putting out and what they are.
I was going to say that there's two magic words, I think, for brands. It's authenticity and consistency. I think you have to be saying the same things, and you have to be saying authentic things. And I think it's not that brands are, when they're coming and having a mismatch between what they want to say and what the market wants to hear, that they're being inauthentic. Sometimes they're being ultra authentic. This is who we are. This is what we do. But what they're not looking at is, well, what do people want you to be, or what problem do you solve for people? And sometimes brands say, well, we solve this. We make it faster for them to clean their bathroom. Well, is that the problem, or is it when they clean their bathroom, the odors kill them, and so they end up with a massive headache? And if you don't have that problem, can you talk about that side of things? I think, tipping that elephant and looking at it from a different angle can often reveal those moments of opportunity and give you a way to spring forward with new messaging, which is fresh, which is obviously then inherently more interesting to media when you go and pitch it. It's more interesting when you're building content out through your own assets. It's more interesting when people are just talking to you as a brand, and you're engaging. So I think, getting those pieces right and doing it periodically, whether it's with a new client, as I said, or as part of a review process to see, okay, well, we've been using this messaging for 12 months. It's now tired, or we've now learned these things about our audience, or we've now evolved in this way. And so how do we need to adapt? Those conversations are pivotal to success.
Right. Agreed. So any key takeaways that we want to leave to clients that might be listening to do a gut check of whether what they're putting out there matches what they're doing?
Call me.
And
Call.
oh, I set you up for that so well.
That was good.
The perfect layup. Slam
It was
dunk.
really good.
I get the
What
assist.
yeah, absolutely. Now, what should people do? I think it's ask some simple questions. Is what you're going out and saying at the moment moving the dial? Have you been saying it for a long time? Is it something that you are resting on and
Hmm.
expecting to do the heavy lifting for you? And is it doing that, or is it just maintaining the status quo? Is the perception, if you were to ask people within the organization, who are we as a brand, would you get consistent answers back? And if you went out and asked 5 customers the same thing, would you get consistent answers back? And if you get to a point where you think none of that is in alignment, or there is enough that is out of alignment, then chances are that your messaging is not on point enough or not tight enough,
Hmm.
because people all have different ideas. So coming back to that consistency, if it's not there's a flag that you need to pay attention to. It
Yep.
might not be a red flag, but it's definitely a flag waving that's saying, hey, something here needs to change.
So, Hamish, do you want to do our news of the day?
There was an article in the New York Times print edition where they showed a photo of Venus Williams but labeled it as Serena Williams. And then they were called out for it, and people saying you've misattributed the photo to the wrong sister. And instead of coming out and issuing an apology, the New York Times came out and said, this was our mistake. It was due to an error when selecting photos for the print edition, and it did not appear online. A correction will appear in tomorrow's paper. And people have taken umbrage at the fact that the Times have not come out and formally apologized. Serena herself came out and lambasted them for basically coming out and saying, well, you've got to own this. This has been happening for too long. And, there's ingrained systems which are, biased, and these need to change, and you've not taken any ownership of this.
Yes. This is a terrible example of the media doing what it needs to do to regain trust and credibility.
Yeah.
In fact, when I did that research for that webinar I worked on, it was clear that one of the ways that the media can rebuild trust with readers or listeners or viewers, whichever format they're in, is to issue corrections promptly and to be very forward about it. So the more that they sort of shove under the rug things that they do that are incorrect, the less people trust them and the less credible
Mm,
they are. And so
mm.
one of the things that's really, really important for the New York Times, for example, is to make sure that they're really on top of doing corrections and pointing out where they were wrong. Because people are very forgiving of any company, any media outlet being wrong every once in a while. Nobody's perfect. You're going to make mistakes. But if you hide the mistakes, that's where people start to think, what else are you hiding from us?
People are prone to mistakes. That's what makes us human. It's the other thing that makes us human is the ability to recognize and own those mistakes and learn from them. And what this does is show that they're not learning as an organization. Now, I'm
Hmm.
sure internally someone has been apologizing. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. They've not been there going, well, it's just in the print. It doesn't matter, and getting away with it. Their boss is not going to let them say that. So the organization should not say that. Internally, someone would have been pulled apart for it. Do the same, pull yourself apart, or at least, go out there and apologize and show that you have remorse, show that you can learn from this and own it. You're right. That's the way that people build trust back in you. Oh,
Hmm.
they understand what they've done wrong. All it does is make them look like a narcissist. Can you be a narcissist as an organization?
Yes.
Conundrum for next week.
I like that. I just get yes. Hard yes. Hard yes. No, I mean, well, because the culture starts at the top, right? So
Yeah.
the culture can be narcissistic because it can come from a narcissistic executive team or individual. So I think in short, yes, because like attracts like, and then you end up with an entire organization of people that are fitting in with the boss. And if the boss is a certain way, then usually the
Mm,
organization is that way, right?
that's
So,
it.
but what's really a shame is that we just covered in one of our last episodes about the New York Times doing that brilliant ad campaign to inspire everyone to feel like it's independent journalism.
Hmm.
And so that's great. So they're doing that, but then they're shooting themselves in the foot.
That piece that we talked about last time, the independent journalism, feels like it was an organization wide effort.
Oh, for
I
sure.
wonder if this piece it goes to a division, subdivision editor who's signing off on it and says, we'll issue this and we'll get away with it that way. It's the online team who said, well, it didn't appear on our online thing, so we'll tweet about it and that's fine. And so it's not actually gone high enough up, and whether
Through
or
the
not it's
correct PR channels.
yeah, and I wonder if it's therefore signs of an inherent deficiency within the communication and approvals channels that they need to correct, rather than to give them benefit of the doubt, rather than an
A misstep.
organizational, yeah. So
Right.
I don't know. That would
Okay.
be
No,
the way to
that's
look
a
at
good,
it,
that's a really good point. Right.
because I think the whole thing. I mean, what they have done is they've thrown fuel on a fire, and to get someone like Serena offside, who then talks about systemic and endemic biases which exist that still have to be overcome. It makes the conversation lean back so far the other way that the article itself has probably become a moot point. And so everything that they wrote about, or that people should have been absorbing, has now been overshadowed by this other topic. And it will help a correction internally, hopefully, but it doesn't do anything in terms of helping continue a conversation about the broader piece or whatever that article is about. So I think
No, and it's, I mean, that response then got really bad feedback. There was one, Alicia Mills said, what a piss poor response. The error in selecting photos is that your systems think all Black people look alike. Own up to that. Biased algorithms, racial ignorance, and lazy editors. That's how this happened. So, I mean, she's
look, I
not
think
wrong.
that it's probably not wrong. I think it's probably slightly unfair to an extent.
It might be too extreme.
Yeah, I think it's extreme that the system thinks that all Black people look alike. I'm not sure that that's the system. It could be someone who has edited it. One person who's gone, well, Serena or Venus, I can't remember. They're sisters, and I can always get them confused. If it had been, two
I mean,
totally
right? They are
different,
sisters, which is different.
the system's going to see similarities in them, and then a person might, because they're not actually a tennis player, because this is, from what I remember, this was not a sports article, so it's not being edited by a sports editor. It's
So
going to be edited.
they aren't as familiar with the material.
Yeah. So you think, okay, I don't know if it's a system to an extent, and I feel that it's being a little unfair, and I don't want to go out here and pretend that I'm trying to advocate that the Times have done the right thing here. I'm not. I'm basically just trying to say, I think extreme responses don't actually help fuel the conversation.
Right.
They just inflame it and create two divides. It's like it becomes very political. Something that should be fixed. And I understand it has to be political, but I just fear that sometimes, when we go to extremism doesn't solve problems.
Right. I think it's a wrap on that article. Do you want to hear the next article that we have in the queue?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's a story about how a lot of women's health brands are having trouble communicating on social media because they are getting caught in censorship traps that are primarily formed by AI, I'm assuming, but essentially anything related to, breasts, if it's for, breast pumps or whatever, right? You end up getting it flagged as adult content. So anything related to menopause or pelvic pain or postpartum health or menstrual health or sexual wellness or breastfeeding, all of these things are getting flagged as adult content, because then somehow it's defining the term as including nudity, depictions of people in explicit or suggestive positions, or activities that are overly suggestive or sexually provocative. And so it's leading to an issue where these women's products are having trouble even getting through, which is interesting, an interesting conundrum as well.
If I step it back, I think that this whole thing has been probably a long time coming and not been very well predicted and therefore adapted to by the big platforms. The whole free the nipple movement that was a couple of years ago, where there's a lot of celebrities coming out saying, why is it okay for men to do this but women not to, and why, that's just a gender bias. I think that should have raised alarm bells, that created systems and put things in place to actually prevent a lot of what we're just seeing now and discussing, where, as you say, whether it's feminine hygiene, whether it's breastfeeding, whether it's anything else like that. Why is it that the algorithms and the internal systems are seeing these as red flags? They shouldn't be. It's a concern that needs a massive correction. Because if you're not able to have conversations about this in a normalized way, they become taboo, and they shouldn't be. None of this should be taboo. I mean, I used to work in IVF industry. One of the things that I was very passionate about was normalizing the conversation around fertility, around sex, around, conceiving and conception, so that people didn't feel stigmatized when saying, "Oh, well, we haven't been able to fall pregnant." Because I
Yep.
think that as you grow up, there's this whole fear that's put into kids and teenagers: don't have sex because you'll get pregnant. And no one talks about the journey that you have to go on. And so it becomes very taboo. And it's a travesty. I mean, if women are not able to learn about the solutions that exist, or not able to talk about things that help other women, what are we doing? We're going backwards.
hmm So what do marketers do to get around this? Or is this just a systemic issue that needs to be addressed as a society, right? There is, for example, the Honey Pot, which is a feminine hygiene company, and their tagline is made by humans with vaginas for humans with vaginas. And then when they posted that in TikTok, it was immediately taken down from their bio,
Hmm.
right? So what do you do if you're the marketer at the Honey Pot and TikTok immediately takes down the tagline in your bio?
You put together articles like this one and start raising awareness. I think it's got to start. It's got to be, it's got to be a grassroots campaign.
Fair.
It really does. You have to let more people know that there is this problem, because if it comes back to what we were saying earlier, if you don't know what people need to know, then you're not going to go out and say it. And if people don't know that there's information that they're not seeing because it's been censored, then they don't even know to think about that. You need to get out there and take paths to the market so that you can educate them.
hmm
And people need to, I guess, instead of using a push strategy and telling people what you have, getting them to go, "Oh, hold on a second. There's more of an option out there. I should learn more about this," and start that pull strategy. What other information is out there that you can teach me about? What other things exist as solutions to my problems? What more am I missing?
hmm
And get them to start driving the paths of inquiry, so that you have more people, more conduits to use to get to that market who's now hungry for that information. So I think it's got to start at a grassroots level. I think that there has to be some open and honest conversation that goes on between all the major publishers. I'm not going to even say it's social media platforms. I think major publishers, probably, to an extent. There's got to be some maybe some industry standards that are developed that say this is what is and what is not deemed appropriate. The same way the pharmaceutical industry is governed to some extent by what they can and can't say with their efficacy claims, and what age groups or whatever can take their medications. Maybe the same thing needs to happen for the other therapeutic areas. This is what is deemed appropriate for discussion. This is what is not, because this is not, because this may be false and misleading or whatever. And open up paths that allow people to go, okay, well, we're going to say this, and it doesn't cause any problems in these areas.
I mean, I think it also flags a bigger issue with censorship in general, where people are just essentially their content is getting. I mean, this I've heard this even from friends of mine who have agencies where they're doing ads for clients on Facebook, etc. That there are just certain clients that you just can't get through because this AI is trapping everything and claiming that it's something that it's not. And so I think in general I don't know if it's a legal issue where they'd rather lean to the side of censoring everything, but it seems to me like maybe the dial is a little bit too high. Like it needs
Hmm.
need to dial down the amount of impact that those systems are having.
The sensitivity of these systems is way too high.
Yeah.
And when you consider that something like TikTok is probably a platform where there are a lot of there is a lot of provocative content put out, whether it's semi-nudity, whether it's crude humor. I think a lot more of that. And you have a look at, now I feel like I'm starting to get old. When you have a look at the music videos that are on the screens these days, uh,
But it's not good for the children.
but it isn't, because it's mixed messages that it's okay to sexualize things. But when you come out with a scientific explanation or something that could actually help with something that is of a,
Then it gets pulled.
yeah, That makes no sense.
It makes zero sense.
And that has to be corrected, because all we're doing is misaligning the values and the sensibilities of kids, and not even kids, just women in general in this instance. And men, because if men don't know about it, how are we ever going to further that conversation?
Right. No, so it's okay to objectify women in social media posts, but it's not okay to give them information that they need for their sexual health.
Yeah, if you want to empower them, please
Okay.
go away.
Right. It's not helpful. What you're doing is the
Let's-
opposite.
Let's celebrate their bodies when they're being shown to us provocatively, and let's downplay the importance of teaching. Makes sense.
Anyway, we got a little off topic, but it's still
Did we?
well, maybe
I think we were
not.
perfectly on topic.
Oh, okay, good. Do you want to give us our summation of the takeaway from?
No, this one I'm going to throw to you. You do. I did
Really?
last one. Yes, come on. I like to share.
I would say takeaway for the New York Times article is that the media really needs to be careful about its credibility and the elements of that, right? So anytime that there is a correction, I think it needs to be done promptly. I think there needs to be a real apology made, and PR is going to need to be more involved until some of this gets rectified, so that it doesn't just whatever happened that led to that kind of sloppy non-apology statement, media statement, can be done better. I think in terms of this, I think that everyone needs to band together to make sure that things that are on our social media channels are not inappropriately censored, and that maybe also things that are inappropriate should be looked at more carefully.
I agree. And I think both of these two pieces actually go to show that mainstream media and mainstream platforms, which in this instance, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, all of them have become media outlets. Mainstream media, if it's looking to earn back its credibility in whatever shape or form, it needs to allow honest and open conversation to occur and for mistakes to be owned. Both of these articles go to show that, if you're not allowing open and honest conversation and you're not owning your mistakes, then you're doing nothing to enhance your brand or your reputation as people who are encouraging open and independent and truthful conversation.
Or your trust.
Or your trust. That's it. Was that your buzzword?
Yes, trust. It's my word of the day. Did I already miss your word of the day?
You have. And I feel I missed yours. I think it was in there before and I missed it.
Always miss your word of the day. Okay, so
Did I
campaign
miss
analysis.
yours?
I'm not telling you that.
Oh, so it hasn't come out yet. I'm still
You
in, people.
suck.
Yes, I'm still in with a fighting chance.
All
You
right.
know the best part about my word of the day.
No.
When we were talking about the word of the day where we were giving the score and you were complaining, I snuck it in then.
You did not.
I snuck it in on conversation about word of the day. I mean, it doesn't get more genius than that. I'm patting myself on the back metaphorically, people.
Do you know how much I would like to
Yeah, sorry. Okay, moving forward.
That's all right. From now on, the word of the day is just an opportunity for Hamish to gloat. So it's not a competition anymore. Okay. Campaign analysis. We have the Old Spice spoofs 80s action movies with deep fake ad.
Bear with me for 1 second as I watch the video.
Oh, I should watch it too. Actually, do you have the link handy?
Yeah, hold on.
We're making the same face.
Are we?
Yes.
It's bizarre.
Wow.
Deep fake technology. Isn't it an interesting and scary realm we're stepping into? And look, I like the creative side of it, but wow, that ad, it's clever in the use of that technology. It's disturbing in its portrayal of why you need Old Spice.
It's so gross. It's so he's squirting out of his armpit.
Look, yeah, it is probably a little bit gross, but I mean, it gets the message across quite well, doesn't it?
It gets
I mean,
the
and
message
that's what
across, and I am not the target audience.
You definitely know what it is about. Okay, you think, oh, action, what are they talking about? He's holding something, and then why he's sweating, and then instantly squirting out of his armpit. you understand what this is going to be about and what this problem is, and then the solution. So from that point of view, it ticks a lot of boxes. You instantly know what they're talking about. You instantly know what the product is selling, and it's a memorable ad because it's different.
So can you tell our readers a little bit about deepfake technology so we're up to speed?
Deepfake technology is the use of artificial intelligence to recreate the image of a person and utilize it for a purpose that that person who you're imitating hasn't actually ever been used for. So in this video, for example, they've recreated video footage of Dolph Lundgren from the 80s using existing examples of footage of who he was and respliced it using AI. And I know it's being used in the underworld and the cybercrime realms to actually try and beat authentication protocols. In this instance, deepfake is being used to make available people or resources in a way that they wouldn't necessarily be available for.
Interesting.
I hope I've summed that up well. And if anyone out there is
Yeah.
listening and think I've done a crap job, please call in.
Yeah, somebody's got to get him after he keeps getting me. Please call in.
Yeah, call in. Oh, look, we have a phone call. Don't come in now. Look, I think it's interesting. The whole idea, the premise behind this ad is probably driven by the fact that as everybody returns back to work from having worked at home, they need to reestablish some habits that they may have let lapse in the past. You know, getting up, working from home. Do I need a shower in the morning? Hell no. I'll probably have one later as a midday break, or maybe I won't have one today. And so I think people's personal hygiene's probably gone out the door. And so they've got to reintroduce a lot of these categories back to the consumer and make them become relevant again. And I think that this is a way of opening that conversation up, because in many different ways it's conversation worthy, because it's Dolph Lundgren. It's an interesting ad in itself with squirting. It's, you know, many different aspects are being ticked here. Your face.
Ew, it was so gross. Like the squirting in his eye from the armpit. It's just terrible.
I think it's an interesting ad. What was your take on it?
Again, I don't think I'm the target audience, so I found it incredibly gross, but I think I don't think they care what a girl thinks about it. I think it probably works I think it probably works for the target. I think that it's
I disagree
memorable.
that it doesn't matter.
Really?
I think it does. I think, and I'm going to be, I know I'm going on a limb here, and I say this with all due respect, but I still think that there's probably a lot of households where the women in the household do this shopping.
And they're the ones buying Old Spice for their
I think the men might buy it, and look, Old Spice is probably being targeted to a younger demographic, but there's still going to be young families and men out there who say, I just need deodorant. The wife, the girlfriend is out at the supermarket shopping. She might be the one that goes, oh, I remember that. I'll grab that. So I don't think it's necessarily gender biased to only men. I think it's got to be memorable across the board.
That's a really good point. Well, it's memorable. It would not make me want to buy it for my man.
What would make you want to buy something for your man?
If, like, for a deodorant specific? I mean, man smell is not bad, but when it gets overpowering, it's bad. So it's like, I think it's like drawing on the, okay, when they've really pushed the limit. You know, and it's like, okay, that's now it's not man smell, now it's locker room, you know.
Yeah.
It's you've just taken this way too far, or now you smell like a hippie, right? Like I'm not buying you I'm not buying you patchouli, like go take a shower. Like, decide, you know what I mean? Like if you're not wearing deodorant, then go take a shower. But if you're wearing deodorant, then, you know, like,
so what is a good
forget
deodorant?
to put it on.
What is a good deodorant ad for you then? I mean, this one does show that extreme. You know, there's a man smell, or there's too much man smell, and this one actually was more.
I mean, that to me would be funny if it was like man smell, like not like locker smell. You know, that I don't know. That would appeal to me.
It's an interesting thing. I wonder there'd have to be research out there. It'd be very interesting to see that.
I don't know. I'm the research pool of one, so you're welcome, whoever's listening.
Yes.
Procter &
Gamble. We have a sample size of one here.
I'm the most compendious. Yeah, definitely. Like the incredible.
What was that word you just used?
I said compendious. I'm a
compendious
sample size.
Is that your word of the day?
Damn you. I tried to mumble it like you and it didn't work.
Yes, people. I want a big ding on that one there. I think the key takeaway from the Old Spice ad is that technology is moving forward and going to open up new opportunities. But it doesn't matter how good those opportunities are if it's not being underpinned by something of a strategic note. And I think in this instance, that whole idea of trying to get people back into routines and using deodorant again is probably where that strategic direction has come from. And what they have done is leverage technology in a way to make it more palatable or more interesting or more noteworthy to the audience. And I think that if we look at it, the takeaway is people have to be clever, but it still has to be underpinned by solid strategy.
I think that's perfect. So should we do our buzzword reveal, since I'm sure that you have absolutely mopped the floor with me yet again?
I don't want to laugh. Let's
you know you want to do your evil laugh. Let's hear it. Let's just get it out.
Never. It's good fun. Can you use that
Terrible.
word in sentence again, please? Compendious.
Compendious. Yes, I am a compendious sample size.
Which means what?
A concise but comprehensive sample size.
You used it so very well. You really did. But
I was trying to use it earlier when I was going to say you did a compendious recap of deepfake. But then you went off on another tangent, and I knew if I brought it back, it was going to be obvious. So I was like, damn it. You look for another spot.
Fun.
I know, because you're winning all of them.
Yes. We've gone from 5-2 to 7-2.
I know. So now the score is final score.
Oh, no, hold on. Fun. Oh, you got it in there. So it's 7-3 today because you got your word in.
Yeah, but I didn't catch yours and you caught mine.
Yeah, my word was good and I used it so well.
Okay, what's
your
word?
Would you like to know what my word?
Yeah, now I do.
My word of the day was slapdash, which means haphazard, slipshod, or sloppy. For example, and maybe this is relevant to our discussion today about the New York Times. Slapdash editing had an effect on the sales of the magazine.
Oh, there we go. Look at that. So you could have used it later on, but you had to gloat and use it when we were talking about word of the day.
Maybe I should have got it in twice.
Oh my God. So brutal if you did that to me and I caught neither of them.
That would have been fun.
You're going to start doing that. I know you are.
I am now. I'm just thinking about that. Bonus points.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Oh, man. All right. We're going to have to start like skewing it towards me and giving him harder words and giving me easier words that he's not going to catch.
I had to use skewcum in my first word of the day. That's not an easy word. Sorry. Okay.
It's like salt on a wound. All right. Anything else you want to say to gloat over me on? He's dancing. Anyone not on video? He's dancing. He's doing a Brad Pitt dance from
Moneyball.
From Moneyball.
Was it Moneyball or was it? Yeah, it was Moneyball, I think, wasn't it?
You know exactly. And he was wearing the headphones.
Yeah, it wasn't like, Moneyball.
No.
Yeah, he's in the tight red shirt.
When
he's a fitness instructor.
Yes, and he's kind of dumb. Burn after reading.
That's it.
He literally just did. I'm watching the video now. He literally just did the burn after reading Brad Pitt dance.
That's all I have to say about this matter. I'm liking word of the day. I think this has been a very
I can see why.
Inclusion into our podcast routine.
You will notice that it was Hamish's idea to do word of the day. So.
I think it's very good.
Oh my God.
Hi everyone. Before we sign off, don't forget this week's promo code. The first person to submit code TRUSTANALYSIS4, that's TRUST analysis 4, will receive a free trust analysis for their brand with April and Hamish. Terms and conditions apply, and you can click the link in our show notes for more information and to sign up for this exclusive deal.
Well, I think that basically wraps us up today.
Let's do it then.
Yeah, well, look, thank you very much for your time today, April, and thank you to everyone listening. Don't forget, you can catch us every 2 weeks wherever you like to stream or download your podcast from.
Remember, you can subscribe, rate, and share the show to keep the content coming your way and grow this community of amazing communicators. Thank you again.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Have a great week. Bye. That's my Elmo voice. Bye.
Oh, it's really something.
Can we do that again? Thanks,
Yes,
everybody.
please.
Bye.
No, I want to hear Elmo again. Can you do more? Oh, that was amazing. Do a full sentence with Elmo.
I can't do a full sentence. It's just words. Hey, everybody.
That was amazing. How do you
I think
do
that was pretty average.
It was epic. I didn't know
don't
you
agree.
could do that.
There you go. Hidden talents that I didn't even know I had. I think
I love how hard it was to pull that evil laugh out of you.
Yeah, I'm not evil. I'm a beautiful angelic soul.